Well, hello everybody. This is Christians in Care meeting with Neil Flack from the Care Workers Charity. And Neil, it's amazing to have you with us on this bright and sunny April morning. I'm going to hand over to you, Neil, for you to share a little bit about the work of the Care Workers Charity and how you support frontline carers like those who have joined us this morning and those who'll be tuning in later on. So over to you, Neil.
Thank you very much, Lucy, and thank you all for your time today. It's really lovely to be part of the meeting, and I'm delighted to give you some updates on what the charity does. So we are a charity that strongly believe that care workers should feel valued, heard, and supported, and we are very dedicated to making sure that the expertise and the value of care workers is better understood on a wider scale as well as within care. So we are very much dedicated to only supporting care workers. So to give you a little bit more understanding of what we do, to do that, we are a charity that provide grants in specific circumstances. If a care worker's had an unforeseen change in their financial circumstances, we have the ability to provide non-repayable crisis grants to help in those situations. We offer a mental health support, which is something that I'll speak about a little bit more as we go through. And we also offer an opportunity for some mental health first aider training, which is something that somebody can take advantage of to train to understand a little bit more about the well-being and how they can support their own workers. We strongly believe that care workers should be heard, so we make sure that we offer platforms for care workers to be involved to voice their own opinions. We strongly believe that care workers should be able to do that themselves rather than being spoken to or spoken for by others. And we also offer a signposting, which we feel is really valuable for anyone that's looking for sort of help and assistance and wants to speak to somebody that's like-minded outside of their own organisation, or somebody that's experiencing some difficulty. They can contact the charity and they can be given some guidance on resources that may be available outside of the charity if they didn't meet our criteria. I would want to stress that we are a hand-to-mouth charity, so we rely on the donations and contributions from our supporters in order to maintain our services. We've struggled to maintain a strong number of applications because of the growing need for care workers to get our support. But I would like to be, to assure you that if we didn't have the funding available, or if we were struggling, or if somebody didn't meet our specific grant criteria, then we could use that as signposting resources and hopefully give them opportunities to look at other options that could be relevant for them. So to touch on the crisis grants a little bit more, the crisis grants are a resource that we have available when funds allow, and we typically award non-repayable grants for care workers between an average of around £250 and £500, as much as £2,000 in extreme circumstances. These can be used for a number of different reasons that could affect somebody's ability to get to work. So we've helped care workers replace service cars, replace tyres for cars to get to work, for white good replacements and lots of other things. We've helped bridge financial gaps for laying a loved one to rest with funeral expenses. And I think probably in the short time that I've been in the charity, which is coming up to 3 years, we've seen a much greater surge reflective of the cost of living. So we've seen care workers living very much hand to mouth as well with their families. So we've provided financial assistance to help with electricity bills, with food bills, with clothing children, and lots of other sort of more daily living costs that care workers. We've seen a sharp rise in our applications that sort of back that up, with a year-on-year increase on our applications. They currently have exceeded the funds that we have available. So what we tend to do is have a spend cap in place. So we start on the Monday of each month for our crisis grants, and then once we reach our spend, which happens quite quickly, we then cap the spending until the following month. So there will be an option available, but we do have to ask for patience sometimes because of that funding issues that we sometimes have. Wellbeing support, I'm going to speak about a little bit more in depth in a moment, but the advocacy side's quite an important part for what we do, because we strongly believe that care workers should be valued and supported better. And we also believe that their opinion really matters. So rather than we do speak out in national press, and it's obviously because of our expertise with dealing with the grants, we feel that we've got that connection, but we also are very proud to have partnered with the Rain Foundation, which we launched a care worker advisory board last year, and that was for frontline care workers from various settings all across the country to come together as a collective group, which we've helped to support and train with help from the Rain Foundation, to be able to attend public speaking events and roundtables, and have some really in-depth discussions around what the feeling is from care workers directly about what they would like to see changed in care. I believe that if you ask 4 care workers the same question, you would get 4 different answers depending on their locality, where they are in their life, what they want, So we believe that their views and opinions should be reflective on all the things that are discussed within and around social care. So we're very proud to have been part of that. And as a charity, we'll send out lots of surveys as well for frontline care workers to respond back to. And those surveys are then collected and then given to the advisory group to speak out on behalf of care workers. And you'll see us around events and stuff like that. And we'll always have care workers with us. We'll organise opportunities for care workers to have those deep conversations, and we're very proud of that. So yeah. With regards to the signposting side, like I've said before, I speak to a lot of care providers that feel that they have these resources in place already and they won't see a benefit for them, but I would strongly disagree with that, because I believe that everybody has their own opinion on what help they need, and that might be that somebody doesn't want to speak to a colleague about their finances, that somebody doesn't want to speak out about their mental health. They might be worried about the impact of that within their job. So I really feel that we should be sitting underneath the belly of really good practice as a safety net, as well as for people that don't have any. So it's definitely there for those resources. And we've seen lots of people that have had access to resources still come to the charity for that help and guidance. And I feel like having somebody outside of the organisation to speak to does give a lot of comfort to many, to be able to have those sort of deeper conversations without the fear of that affecting their work maybe. So I've spoken about what we do in general terms, but our impact's been quite beneficial to care workers. We've helped and very proud of helping around 12,500 care workers with just short of £6.4 million worth of help and support, which is, again, like I've said before, is non-repayable, which is really and we've seen the benefit of that. There's so much joy for me working for the charity. When I'm at events and people come up to the stand and we can see what the help we've given people, and in many different circumstances, from bridging the gap of somebody moving jobs where they don't have the money in between, to helping people that have lived very hand to mouth up until the end of the month and then had an experience of a financial problem, and just being able to bridge that to help them get over that hurdle so that they can continue and stay in the job that they love is really quite powerful for me. And there's nothing more impactful than helping the people that help others. So I'm very proud to be part of the charity and be able to speak about that. So with regards to our wellbeing support, we also offer a counselling service partnered with Red Umbrella, and it's up to 10 hours of one-to-one therapy with an accredited therapist. It's again, it's paid for by the charity, and it's free for care workers. And anyone that's has an issue they'd like to speak to someone professional about can contact the charity, and providing the resources are there for us to be able to pay for them, we can put you in touch with Red Umbrella, and they can give up to 10 hours of one-to-one therapy, and that can be done either online or in person. So we're very proud to have that in place, and we also offer a course available as well for people that would like to know more about wellbeing and support their own teams. And that's for to sign up for, again, with Red Umbrella, and it's an online course, which can be it's a 2-day course, and you'll get a training certificate which is valid for 3 years. And we found that really impactful to be able to sort of help and support staff members and your team when they may be experiencing difficulty. We are, we obviously get a lot of responses back from care workers that have felt that they've been really benefited from our services. Large percentages of up to 98% felt they were more supported in their job roles, and 84% found that it helped them falling into financial hardship. So we can sort of see and monitor our impact as we go forward as a charity, and obviously evolve within the scope of the day-to-day expectations of care workers. So we're very much switched on to what's going on in and around the sector. The funding that we receive is pretty much hand to mouth. So we rely heavily on the donations and contributions from care providers. I myself, as part of my job in the charity, look after care providers memberships called supporter membership, and that is a yearly membership that care providers pay to align their values with ours, and they get an opportunity to put market in and join the charity and engage in different opportunities to support the charity, which we're really proud of. And we also offer sponsorship for companies that supply goods and services, and that collective money that we draw in then feeds those services. I'd like to stress that you don't have to be an active member in order to get to our resources. We believe that all care workers should be equally valued, so anybody that comes to the charity can access that support, providing the resources are there. We have in place currently that care workers that have worked, it's for working care workers, and for care workers that have worked for a minimum of 3 months in an organisation can apply for our resources. What I would stress is that if you've got somebody within your team that wanted to speak to us directly, they could still access our signposting and still have that support. But I would like to say it's not just frontline care workers, it's also people that work within the organisation that can access our resources. So anybody that's worked in a social care setting in the UK for more than 3 months can apply for our grants. I will send over some information about what a crisis grant is and a breakdown of what they are. There is obviously a criteria to meet in order for us to be able to give the most vulnerable people our attention first, and that would be reliant on providing details regarding how much you collectively earn as a household, what you have in savings, and other other things to consider. But I'll send that over for you to have a look at. We also have fundraising, which brings a lot of joy as well as valuable resources to the charity. Whether you're fancy jumping out of an aeroplane, or if you would like to, go on a nice walk with the dogs and arrange something like that, we really embrace all fundraising opportunities. So if you've got anybody that would like to get involved, we would be delighted to support any joyous fundraising opportunities, and make sure that we thank people on our social medias and that kind of stuff. I would also say it would be beneficial to follow our newsletter, because we obviously send out quite a lot of different information around our support and what we're offering, and comments from other care providers and people within the sector that would be helpful for care workers. So that would be really beneficial. And I would say that if anyone has any questions, or if anybody would like to ask me anything now or later, we're very open. So if I can't answer you directly because it's not my department, I can definitely answer the question by speaking to a colleague. So please feel free to reach out and let us know.
Neil, thank you so much. That was brilliant, and you kept very focused in all of that, and I do appreciate.
Thank you, Lucy.
And, and I think I will now just want to speak on behalf of those of you who've joined us and those of you who are watching to say what an incredible work your charity does, and thank you. I got caught up in my thinking, and I missed how much you as a charity have been able to give to carers. I heard 1 million, but I didn't hear.
It was 12,500 care workers to date and 6.4 million pounds worth of financial contributions that we've made.
I mean, that's staggering. That is absolutely incredible. And, we know because we're connected with carers, all of the time, just like you are, that the need is huge. And I think, as you're reflecting, the need has grown as the cost of living has increased. And that is a staggering amount of money. And you should feel really, proud of what you're doing, because I know that the impact there is going to be, remarkable. So well done.
Thank you.
Those of you that have joined us now, have you got any questions? Just to remind you, if you don't want to be seen, then please don't keep your camera on. But if you've got a question, then why don't you unmute yourself and ask Neil? Yeah, Jane, go for it. Ask Neil a question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, thank you, Lucy. Thank you for this time. And Neil, wow, how amazing. Phenomenal, the figures that you've helped, 12,500 with 6.4 million. And I think it just begs the question, and probably we're all aware of it, in terms of the cost of living. And unfortunately, it does appear to be something that is not going to get better any day soon. What sort of strategies can you possibly have in place to cope with the likely increase in demand on your charity?
I think it's been an evolvement as a charity. I know we gave out a lot of crisis grants in and around COVID for people that were affected in social care.
Right.
It's 2.3 million pounds in a very short amount of time for people. But I think at that time it was much more trusts and foundations that were funding the resources that we were been able to give, and technically when everyone decided that COVID had finished, and then then as a charity we needed to have to evolve. So we have changed the way we get our support by looking into the more affected and more supportive areas like care providers and people that are supplying goods and services to stretch out our memberships. So we're looking to try and evolve that into deeper relationships to try and broaden the amount of money that comes into the charity. I feel that we as a charity find it quite hard because it's a very comparable service to what people already have in place and pay for. So it's easy to compare what we do in comparison to what services are already out there. And I always try and highlight that as a charity, what we're trying to do is give a collective support to the entire sector rather than individual organisations. And so that's quite a challenge. But I think we probably need to. I know we've worked with some local authorities that have given us some funding for their areas targeted for care workers within their boroughs. That could be more expandable, hopefully, when more funding comes from central government, which we would all like to see, I'm sure. It's basically spreading awareness and building relationships. I think is going to be the key for us to bring in more support for the programs.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. And finally, Neil, I don't want to sort of hog this time. I missed the foundation that you said you're sort of working in terms of a link. Did you say RAIN Foundation?
RAYNE, yeah, RAYNE, yeah.
Right. Thank you. I've never heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're in partnership with them to launch the Care Worker Advisory Board and Champions project, which I'll send over after some more information about what that is and how it works and how people can get involved and all that kind of stuff. So it would be I'd be very keen to sort of provide more information about that. We're obviously very proud of it as well. So
yeah, Yeah, no, thank you so much thank you for your time with this meeting, but certainly for those questions of mine you've just answered. Thank
Oh, no
you.
problem. Thank you. Thank you for your time as well. It's great to meet you.
Yeah.
You, Jane. Sarah and Glenn, have you got questions you'd like to ask Neil?
I think I've got many, actually.
Go for a couple of those, Sarah.
Okay, so thank you, Glenn, for coming to share what you do. I've been getting your information for a while. I think it was from something Lucy previously posted. So it's brilliant that you're helping people who need financial assistance and the provision of counselling through Red Umbrella. What about championing sort of campaigning for better, I don't know, I feel personally that there needs to be much better training for care workers and to recognise the professional role it is and maybe make it more noted as a profession, if you see what I mean. And I didn't know what part you're playing in that.
Yeah, so we believe obviously that care workers should be better valued in society. That's absolutely the key for building the public perception and changing the views of what people believe care workers do, which we know is highly valuable both to the communities and to society. So we regularly do lots of campaigning in and around sort of. We don't just want to highlight the issues that we all know face care workers on a day-to-day. We also want to really embrace the joy of care workers and what they bring. So you'll see that we do campaigns throughout the year, like Connected to Care. I feel like as a smaller charity in size, we use our platforms and social media quite well to sort of highlight the need and the expectations of care workers. And Connected to Care was an opportunity for people to sort of send short videos about why they enjoy their job and what the joy of care work is and that kind of stuff, because I think it's really important to like I said, if we can change the perception of what people believe care work is, and then we can start to look at trying to change the foundations around pay and all the other things that we need people to step up, and there needs to be a better support in place in line with what people do for their jobs day to day, because we know how hard it is for care workers, and we also know that the job itself can need those sort of help and resources that we're offering, but on a much bigger scale. We shouldn't have care workers going through issues and not being supported. So we very much hope in the future for those financial restrictions to come down and help support care workers better. That's our goal.
Okay, so thinking about the thing that they say, oh, social care is on its knees, and then somebody said, no, social care is actually flat on its face. What part do you think you could play, or are you hoping to play in any, review of services? Any wider national inquiry, government think tank or whatever?
So we have our CEO Carolina, who was a care worker, who's been with the charity, and she was a care worker, I believe, for 12 years, and she's been in advocacy for 8. But she attends all the roundtable discussions with the Department of Health and Social Care and the CQC, and she's phenomenal. She's the right person for the job. She believes passionately in the value of care workers, and she speaks out frequently on behalf of them and the charity to ensure that they don't feel that social care is forgotten really in the deeper discussions. So we do have lots of deeper relationships with the sort of governing bodies. So we ensure that the voices of care workers is never left behind or not part of the conversation. So we do quite a lot of work around that, and we're quite passionate about that, as well as providing the platforms for care workers to be able to voice their own opinions. We do reach out and speak quite frequently, and you'll see lots of press statements from us as well in the national press. I know we've spoken out about all the major topics that come along. We will have an opinion about it, and you will see that come through.
I'll have to look out for them. Yes, certainly. Because I am thinking a bit. Sorry, am I hogging too much time here? Is it okay,
No,
Lucy?
okay.
Glenn?
Yeah, if you've got another, go ahead. If you've got another question, then please go ahead. And then
well, I think of my colleagues that may be disillusioned. You know, they often think that reunionised, we're part of Unison. I'm a local government employee, which is only a small part of the sector, I realise. But, you know, even then, don't feel that you have a voice, you know, and nothing's going to change and things like that. So it's really encouraging to hear what you've got to say, Neil, that, you know, you are trying to raise the profile of care. So that's really encouraging. How can they find out whether my employee, Newcastle City Council, has made a commitment to making a donation or contribution?
Donation wise would be hard to track it, depending on whether they've declared it and stuff like that. If they wanted to join a membership that I look after, that's on our website and can be viewed under the directory. So all the members that we have that support the charity are on there listed. Yeah, it's hard with regards to individual fundraising and then collective fundraising. In some instances, people, you know, obviously show us, and then we can send stuff out on social media, but that might be a harder thing for me to track. But yeah, if you could spread the awareness and answer questions for us, that would be really valuable. Obviously, if there was any support there to be had, we'd be happy to join the dots and obviously build the relationship and put everything in place that they need to get going.
Yeah.
That sounds like a really good idea, actually, because, you know, the care workers themselves can go to their employers and say, you know, can we sign up? Can we support this? Can you support this? That's a good thought. Sarah, is there anything else that's really burning and brewing, or do you feel like you've had most of your thoughts and questions answered?
I think I need to go to the website, and then I might message Neil direct or something. Yeah.
And I know that Neil's well up for that, and I think that this is beginning a conversation, and I don't think that we can, you know, because I think when you listen to something like this, it's perhaps later that you have more questions that come up. That on our website at Christians in Care, we have a wellbeing, you know, under resources, we have a wellbeing page, and the Care Workers Charity is listed there. And we're really keen that the carers that are connected to Christians in Care know about the work that Neil and the team at the Care Workers Charity do. And I think, Neil, you talked a bit about the signposting that you do, and I hope that you know that if you've got people of Christian faith that you're connecting with that are calling out and saying we need more help and support, that you'll signpost them to us, because there's so many similarities in some of what we're doing, and we'd be really honoured and privileged to support them. And as you said, one of the quotes you've said today has really stuck with me. Helping the people who help others is what you said, and I think that is what a lot of what Christians in Care is about as well. And also what you said about let's celebrate the joy of caring, and that's part of our mission here at Christians in Care, is to try and help the local church. And for those, we all know we have seasons of change, don't we? Seasons where we think, actually, what could I do next? You don't stay in the same job forever. What about working in care? It's an incredible opportunity to show love and compassion, just like Jesus did to the people around us. So we do similar, and just trying to say it's an amazing job. Just it's full of challenges as well, but it's always needing to balance the challenges versus the blessing and opportunities that come. So Neil, I thank you so much, Neil, for your time. We feel blessed to have had you with us this morning, and I know that this is going to be seen again tonight and viewed by many. So my heartfelt thanks to you, Neil, and all that you do. We'll make sure Neil's slides go on our website. We've already got the link there. If anybody that's listening to this has got questions that you want to get in touch with Neil specifically, not about the grant system and so on, you need to go through the good channels that are really clear on the Care Workers Charity website. But any other questions that might be cropping up, pop them to me and I'll send them on to Neil for him to answer. But for now, I'm going to stop the recording and say goodbye.
Thanks, everybody. It's great to meet you all, and thank you for your time today. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah,
Mhm.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Neil. Thank you. Yeah.